Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. Are you ready to make some money this championship weekend? Hopefully you are. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. This is the most important hour of your day. If you're betting the games or going to any of the many states that has sports gambling this weekend, take my picks with you and you will make money. It's a $99 weekend. Very excited about that. Let me bring in my co-host from Louisville, Kentucky. Let's get this show underway and get you into some profit and break down these games. Mr. Brandon Rush from Louisville, Kentucky. How are you, buddy?
I am splendid. Only 3 games left in the NFL season, though, so that you can kind of see right now that the end is near. But the good news is that the profit is not.
Womp, womp, womp. Exactly. By the way, thought something as I was doing the intro. We're going to redo the spot that we just did. So take care of business on the show. I want to redo that spot after this because in the spot, it was more of a show topic than it was a spot topic. And I then started in with the spot. And so I thought, now that I've done it, I'm going to change the spot because what I should be focusing on in the commercial is the $99 weekend, championship weekend. A great opportunity to make money before the Super Bowl. What a great January it's been. What a great football season it's been.
Yes.
That's what spots should be about. What I then went to in the spot, which is what the show needs to be about, because the show is more about full drilled down transparency along with how it's actually going. And so what I said, the spot was, I said, we 12-3 wild card weekend, and then last weekend we backed up. I don't know why I said that. That's stupid. I mean, the only people that care about what happened last week in football, by the way, basketball won last week. We were 2-0 Friday, 3-1 Saturday, 0-2 Sunday. So what is that? That is 8-6. Nope. 5-3. Nope. 6-4.
Somewhere in there. But it was a win. That part we know.
Small winning week. Nobody's retiring.
Sure. No.
All right, now I'll tell you.
No one's going to be on any 1 week of any season.
Not this time of year. I mean, it's not going to happen. Now, 12-3 the week before, guys played 50,000 a game. They probably did pretty well. They might be able to retire. Although if you're betting 50,000 a game, you probably have a lifestyle that would not allow you to retire, even with 8 or 9 games worth of profit. So, it's 12-3 off that week. That's a great week. This last week, nobody's going to even suggest for a minute it was a great week. A little bit of profit in basketball. Football lost, but I'll tell you, Brandon, and we talk about this not only on this show, but when I go on around the country, that the deeper you get into the season, and last year was such an anomaly in that we didn't have any losing days. I mean, we were winning every single day. And really, for the better part of a month, we've been doing that this year. Since certainly the national championship game, we've been running on just winning just about every day. And when we have a losing day, we'll turn around and have a winning day the next day. And the football has been really, really strong. So this last week, we ran into a little bit of what is called variance. And so you have games every week along the season where they're going to be luck games. They either are good luck or they're bad luck, but the deciding factor is going to be determined not so much by your ability to pick. And this is not a knock on anybody that won or lost. It's just the fact of the matter. Every week you have games that are easy winners, you have games that are easy losers, and then you have variance games that come down within a point or two of the line, and those require a little bit of luck to win, a little bit of bad luck to lose. And some weeks, and knock on wood, we have not had a lot of weeks where we've had even a lot of negative variance. And we've certainly, when we've had negative variance, we've surrounded it with really strong positive plays that have won easily. So this last week was the first time in a long time, and we have clients that are just so spoiled because they're just used to winning every single week and every single day. And this last week, there weren't enough games. Obviously, there's only 4 games to have a lot of easy winners. And in fact, there weren't a lot of easy winners, Brent. If you go back through last week's card, I mean, and I haven't done this, so I'm kind of doing it on the fly. But if you look at last week's card, of the games that were played, of the 4 games, easy winner if you had the Ravens over the Texans. The total was 43.5. The total, or 44 or 44.5.
Depending on when and where you got that number. Yeah, you either came right on it or you missed it or made it by half a point.
And what's funny is that the official total that went off was 44.5. And we had under, by the way. So, and I didn't go around and shout from the rooftops we had a winner. I actually graded it as a push because I got it at 44.5, so I won. But a lot of people didn't. because it was leading up to the game, 43.5, 44, then went down to 3.5, 43.5, then back to 44. But the overall, consensus line around the country and around the world was 44.5. It's go to scoresandodds.com. They put up the consensus line at the end is 44.5. But anyway, took a little bad luck if you lost that, good luck if you won. And of course, they had the punt return there, which made it close, but it wouldn't have been close otherwise. So you go to the Packers and Green Bay game. That was one that certainly you could have had, the right side. You had if you had the Packers plus the points, that was a solid win. If you had under, that was a solid win. Then you get a little bit deeper, Brandon, into Sunday's card, and you needed luck on all of this to win or lose. So the total in the Buccaneers game was 50. It was 50. It ended up 54. That's close enough, especially when you have the amount of turnovers in that game, especially by the Bucs. It created some points, so you needed some turnovers. And then the side was essentially determined by a 2-point conversion by the Bucs late in the game. I mean, they got back to 6 after giving up a 40-yard run, which doesn't happen a lot in the NFL, period. But gave up a 40-yard run to go down 2 scores. They went for 2, which, oh, by the way, you're supposed to go for 2. I was actually watching the news, the sports station here in Oklahoma last week after the game, and one of the guys just facetiously said, I don't know why they're going for 2 there. By the way, if you're going to do a sports show on the news or anywhere else, you might want to learn analytics at least a little bit. Learn a little bit about what you're talking about strategy. It's not even close. When you're down 14 points in the fourth quarter and you score, you go for 2 every single time, because the analytics tell you to do that. And we let's touch on that just real quick. So people out there that are new, there are people driving around all the time that don't know what that means. So you're down 14 and you score 6. Now you're down 8. You have 2 options. You can either kick the field goal twice, all right, assuming that you get another chance to score. You can kick the field goal twice. That is about a 94%, actually 96% success rate to kick the field goal twice, all right? So if you go for 2 twice, all right, it is a 50-50 option. So you're 50-50 to go for it twice, or you're a 96% divided by 2 if you kick 2 field goals. And if you go for 2 once and then kick the field goal, you win versus tying. Does that make sense?
It does to me, because I'm an analytics nerd. But yeah, and what's crazy is 2-point conversions in the NFL this season converted at 55%. So the trend this year has actually been favorable to go for 2 instead of even a 50-50 coin flip.
And it's not just about that number. It's about the difference between that number and the difference between making the extra point twice.
Yep.
So it's 50. If it's 50-50 and it's 90, if it's 100%, 50% and then half of 96%, it's the difference. So, and not only that, you get the opportunity to win versus tying versus kicking the field goal extra point twice. So, but if you're doing a news track, email me, call me up. I'll explain it to you a little bit more time and lay out the numbers for you. But I do think analytics have gone crazy, Brandon. We're going to talk a lot during this show, but I wanted to get this out last week because we rarely lose. We rarely have a losing week in football. I felt like we should talk about it a little bit to make sure people understand that I don't just come on here every time. Another winning week, another great week for my clients. That's what you've been getting every single week on this show for literally 2.5 months. At the middle of October, you've been getting that every single week, because the only other football weeks that have been close, the basketball has killed it. So it hasn't even been close. Everybody's been making a lot of money. So this was the first kind of week where we pushed in basketball. We lost a little football. And so I feel like it's important to at least point that out. But analytics, Brent, I have gone crazy, by the way. I mean, I don't know. Got teams getting it 4th and 1 from their own 35, and then they're flashing up the screen. Analytics say go for it. I don't understand that. I guess it's true. I mean, they've done the math on this stuff, and I do think analytics have gone too far, but that's an easy one for me to understand. You're down 14. It's the fourth quarter. You only get so many more possessions. You have a better chance of going for 2 and getting it once out of 2 times than you do making 2 extra points, and you get the opportunity to win versus just tie. So yeah. I totally get that. But it took that. The Bucs went for 2, didn't get it. By the way, horrible play call. It was pass interference, but a horrible play call. And that was the difference between winning and losing with the Bucs plus the points or the Lions minus the points. Total, again, came right down the line. Chiefs, I mean, everybody watched the Chiefs-Bills game, and we had the Chiefs plus the points. That was a winner, but it took luck to win.
Mm-hmm.
Besides the field goal late that was wide right, you get the drop by Diggs. You get a number of plays, but you could also say, well, Buffalo fumbled the ball on that last series. Chiefs almost scooped and scored it. Didn't they get? Chiefs are going in the end zone, fumble the ball out of the end zone by the running back. A couple of
Fumble on
drives.
the first play of the game that really could have turned that thing on its head.
So it took the point is that there was a lot of variance involved. Either good luck if you won, and the total was 51. It was 45. It went over basically because of the late play. So the over was probably the right side. If you had to bet, I always look at it. Well, if I had to bet it again, what would I do? What would I be? But the reason I played under in that game, Brandon, which was our play, you go to the results tab. You don't have to guess what we had. Go to FatJackSports.com. Go to the results tab. You'll see everything from last week, and you'll see the free prop bets that are there. You'll see the week before. You'll see the whole year's there. But if the reason I played under in that game and would probably do it again is because the Chiefs have been so profitable, and frankly, the Bills have too. Bills 11-7 to the under. Chiefs led the league in the under. Not only in the second half, it was like dominant, 14 of 15, and they did go under in the second half of this one too. But in the game, they have been dominant to the under. I basically bought a small importer more with just playing under the Chiefs games because they haven't been a great offensive team. They executed a little bit better. There were some turnovers or some things happened, but that's one of those I would not apologize at all. So the bottom line is last week, if you were on just last week, and I was telling Brandon right before the show, I got an email from a guy. Maybe he's followed up. We can talk about him. D. Ballard writes, "You're full of bull crap. You cost me a ton of money with these bad picks. Send my money back. You know less about than I do, you crook." Now, Brandon, I was 12-3 the week before. Everything's posted and documented. I've been doing this 27 years. I did a TV show. We're 15-4 with the top pick. Actually, now 15-5 with the top picks on that. There's nothing crook about me. There's nothing bullcrap about me. All this tells me that you're an idiot. That's all that email tells me. You write an email like that, and I say, yeah, this guy's an idiot. And I hate it for him because it's hard to turn somebody that's just an idiot into somebody that could actually win money betting on sports. It's very difficult to do. Most of my clients understand. Oh, by the way, if you were on last week, I sent them all a $100 coupon code. So essentially get this week for next to nothing, or better yet, sign up for a longer package. A lot of times I'll give the next week free, Brandon, but we made so much money, and we've been doing so well for so long. I don't know how much I should positively reinforce somebody for signing up for the weekend and then getting upset after signing up for the weekend. What do you think about that? Is there another way to approach that? Do you just, a lot of people would say, Jack, this is sports gambling. You're going to have some variance, and people who get mad after 1 week should probably not be gambling on sports. You probably should just delete their information and move on. I mean, where do you land on that?
I mean, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to be the guy that says, hey, yeah, last week sucked. Here's a, like you said, a voucher for another week. And hey, sorry, things happen in sports betting. There's no such thing as an automatic, and there's no locks. You have, I think, in doing that, have done more than 95% of the handicappers out there would even consider. So
I'm not more than 100% for sure. Nobody this time of year is going to give anybody anything for anything. I mean, they're just not going to do it. Nobody's going to turn away clients. You know how many people I blocked this week?
I'm sure there's a few.
So many. I mean, Brandon, I've gotten so busy, and by the way, I bet the games myself. So if you sign up for $99, great. If you don't, that's on you. Don't do it and lose. It's up to you. That's really where I am right now. I only want clients that want to make money. That's it. And I want guys that are adults or girls that are adults and on their medication and aren't expecting to retire after 1 week. Nobody else says that. That's the reality. I don't need you to sign up for my service. What I do, I want you to sign up if you want to be a successful sports bettor. If you want to make money betting on the games, I want you to sign up. If you don't, or if you're a get rich quick, I'm going to the fair, I want to make my rent money guy, go find some other loser that will have you chasing your tail and losing all your money and want to absorb your hatred in your emails, because that is not me. I don't need you. I don't want you to do it. If you're that guy, go someplace else. And so I had guys that, the texting system has been an absolute dumpster fire this year because the FCC and their infinite wisdom have decided that texting gambling information is now their responsibility to block, even though every one of my clients have opted in twice to receive the text message, to receive the information. Every one of them, they paid to receive it. The FCC has decided that they are more important than me sending out the word Baltimore -4 or whatever on it. And so that's become a tougher deal. So a lot of guys, I've got another workaround. Well, those guys have access to a number that I actually have, a phone number. So the good side of that is that you still get to receive text messages. The bad side of that is if you write one text that it shows me that you're an idiot, I'm going to just block you, and then you're not going to get to do that. I have about 5 people that are on triple secret probation right now. I mean, they literally are so dumb. They get drunk, I think, because they've won a ton of money and admit that, but they feel like we are friends. We are not friends. I am I have lots of friends, but these particular guys are not my friends. I couldn't pick them out of a lineup. They're guys that have been very successful at betting on sports because they signed up for the FatJackSports service. And I want to have that good relationship with them, but I'm not here to take any type of abuse of any kind. So if you want to win this weekend, go to FatJackSports.com. $99, everything through Sunday's games. All right. And that's not just side and total, predicted final score in the games. It's also the top prop bets. Last year, I think I lost 2 or 3 prop bets the whole time. This year, they're a little over 500. They're all posted. So go to the results tab. You'll see they have not been as successful this year, but they're free and they are turning a little bit of a profit. So you get those for free. You get the predictive final score, best bets for the game, all that kind of stuff for $99 this weekend. Or basketball, which is where you need to be. It's the best safety net there is in the world, because we just rarely lose both ever. And as I said, last week basketball's won again over the weekend. This week they're going to win. This weekend they're going to win. It's going to build even more profit as we head into the Pro Bowl weekend, and then of course Super Bowl Sunday after that. Also a great time to go get this season-long packages, best rates of the entire year available right now at FatJackSports.com, and the ability to pay it out over the next 8 months. Brandon, what jumped out last week? All those games I went through, what was surprising to you? What did you take away from last week?
I think we learned that yet again that the hot teams this time of year are a force to be reckoned with. Green Bay, that win in Dallas was not a fluke. They went into San Francisco and really were playing just freely and really put a scare into the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. And if not for a couple mistakes late and Jordan Love channeling his inner Brett Favre, they might have won that game. So a lot of props to the Packers for really turning their season around, and they've got a bright future ahead of them considering how young that offense is.
Yeah, they're going to make Jordan Love a very, very rich man. And probably rightfully so. I've really, I don't like to say an about face because it makes me sound like all these talking heads on ESPN and other places. But I definitely underestimated his ability to improve. I don't think I was wrong on where he was the first part of the year and last year and that, but I definitely see a guy who the game is slowed down. A little bit like a freshman turning into a sophomore in college. I mean, the game is slowed down. He knows where his players are going to be. He's making dynamic plays. He's making much better decisions. They're going to make him very rich. And they are going to be a force to be reckoned with going forward. So I totally agree with you there. Was it more about, where is San Francisco, Brandon? Where is this team? This is a team that you want to think is that next level top tier. They're still the favorite to win the Super Bowl. But this is also a team that's injured.
Yes.
And they're banged up, and they do have a quarterback that we are seeing that as competition gets tougher and as teams are having a little more success shutting down McCaffrey, they're relying on him more, and he's not a 10 out of 10, which I've been saying since he literally got the starting job. Where is this team, and where is he as a quarterback as we head into a game against Detroit, which another dangerous team, but a team they should take care of. And then more importantly, if they get by that and they get into the Super Bowl against either one, Kansas City or Baltimore, where is this San Francisco team?
To touch on Brock Purdy, we got a very good view of what he was at Iowa State. You get him into the 49ers, you get him with a pretty decent offensive line, at least half of it, and talented weapons around him, and he's a manageable NFL quarterback, probably top 20 or top 15 at worst. But without Deebo Samuel, with an offensive line that had gotten absolutely chewed up on the right side, and you're right, the team's focusing on Christian McCaffrey. NFL teams are willing to let Brock Purdy beat them. And so this far, he hasn't made the huge mistake, But without Deebo Samuel in the lineup and Brandon Ayuk not really being much of a threat in the passing game over the last few weeks, they're on shaky ice. It would not shock me to see Detroit go out there and win just because they are so physical, and you're getting Aiden Hutchinson, a star in the making on the defensive side of the Lions, going up against the weakest part of the 49ers offensive line. That is just a bad recipe for anything going forward for San Francisco, at least in terms of this game.
Yeah, it's a tough one to pick when you're talking about. We're going to break down these games in the second segment against the spread. We'll look at totals and sides and get some trends and that kind of stuff. But this is a tough one because I could see this game being like the Baltimore-Houston game, and Baltimore or San Francisco getting out to a lead, staying ahead of the chains, putting Jared Goff in some bad spots. Their secondary is much better than what Detroit saw against Tampa, or certainly that they played, and them not having much of an answer if they get down on the road at Santa Clara. But I could also see, as you're kind of saying, if it stays close, or if, God forbid for the 49er fans out there, if Detroit gets the lead, that this could be a problem. Because Detroit, I'll tell you, what I've learned about Detroit, besides, is that their coach, at least to this point, and we'll see, the lights get brighter, competition gets higher, but he's the honey badger also. I talked about that with Baker Mayfield. He does not care. He believes in his players. He believes they're a team of destiny. He goes for it on fourth down, even though he might not should. They throw it on early downs, even though they might not should. And when you're able to do that, when you have that kind of courage
and confidence,
you're dangerous. Yeah, you are dangerous against teams that are better than you. And nobody's going to argue that San Francisco is better than Detroit. But you become a real problem for them if it stays close, or if you can stay in a non-predictable. I talk about that a lot lately. Non-predictable situations, because a lot of these teams that are making these runs deep in the playoffs, they rely on you to not get them in predictable downs and distances. So if you get them down, and we saw this Detroit and Green Bay most of the year, when they got down a touchdown or more, they become a lot more predictable, and that becomes a real problem for them. When teams can pin back their ears, bring blitz packages, and then, more importantly, take the ball away in the secondary because Goff gets a little bit antsy, or Jordan Love with the other team, those type things. But when they stay ahead of the chains, they keep it in a competitive balance game, they are a dangerous group. And so that's kind of what you're talking about, is that this team is peaking at the right time. They are clearly the hot team. And really go in the right direction. Go to FatJackSports.com. We're going to have predicted final score on both of these games, the best bets for both these games, the top prop bets for both of these games for only $99. A great time to get signed up, great time to win. How are we doing on time, Brandon? I want to get to the other game, not only Buffalo and Kansas City from last week, but also want to talk about, obviously, Kansas City and Baltimore this week. Want to do it now, or wait till after break?
No, we need to get in a break because those are going to be huge attention games, and I think we even though it's a $99 weekend, we're still putting the same amount of energy into focusing on this weekend's games. So the listeners want it. We'll
we
give it a full
100%
break.
expect to win.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna the free plays on this show. If we give those out, they're gonna win. The clients are gonna win.
Yep.
The prop bets are gonna win. We don't lose much in January, Brandon. And so it's gonna be a great week. If you're out there and you want to be a part of that, get signed up. Don't go anywhere. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back. We're gonna turn our attention over to Chiefs Chiefs and Buffalo first, then Chiefs Baltimore. We'll talk about the progression of our futures tickets that Brandon and I still have alive, and a lot of guys out there listening, actually, a lot of them go to the podcast, the show, to get that instruction on what they're supposed to do with their 18-1 Baltimore Ravens to win the Super Bowl ticket. I guess D. Ballard, or whatever his name was, he was not a part of those shows.
I'm assuming he was not on with us in August and is reaping in all the rewards that has come our way because of the winning picks since then.
Yeah, because he thinks we're stupid, apparently, because I got a crook also. I do love that.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to FatJackSports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. FatJackSports.com.
Hey, it's Brandon Rush from the Fat Jack Sports Service. If you want to stay in touch with everything related to the Fat Jack, follow us on all the socials. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it. We are there at Fat Jack Sports. You can also watch the Fat Jack Sports Hour on YouTube every weekend. Plus, see funny clips from the show, see Jack's appearances on the nationally syndicated TV show Beat the Odds, Stay connected to the Fat Jack at FatJackSports on all the socials and on YouTube.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. And now here is our host, a man guiding you to winners this championship weekend. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour segment number 2, $99 football weekend. About $10 a day to make money with the hoops added on. I mean, depending on what day you listen to the show or you sign up, costs you more if you sign up for the package on Tuesday than it would if you sign up on Thursday, then you sign up on Saturday. So bottom line is, if you want to make more money, add those basketball plays. Even if you're not a basketball fan, they've been consistently adding profit. We are on Saturdays alone, Brandon, over the last month are 14-2. Yes, 14-2. 3-1, 3-1, 4-0, 4-0. That's 14-2, right?
Yep.
14-2 on Saturdays over the last month. That's good, right? Hard to lose money betting on basketball when you are 14-2 on Saturdays over the last month, which is what we are. And those picks do not cost much. $20, $30 for the entire day. Bet $20 or $30 a game, $50 a game. When you add it to your football package, and you're going to be into profit with those hoops plays as well. It's at 14-2 over the last 4 Saturdays combined. So go to FatJackSports.com and get signed up. All right, let's talk about the futures ticket real quick so we can get that out of the way. I'm going to have to take out a pencil here.
Right. So last week we talked about how if you had that Ravens Super Bowl futures ticket from August at 18-1 or better, depending on where you got the line, that you could hedge out of it. Jack, did have a money line bet on the Texans to win. Knew early that wasn't going to happen, and I actually, because I bet in the app, cashed out of that. So I didn't lose the full amount of the wager. I kind of regretted that for a bit, and then I didn't. Cash out is dangerous, but at the same time, the futures ticket's still alive, and another potential hedge opportunity this weekend because the Ravens again favored.
And last week there were a lot of scenarios we didn't talk about. You know, as I went on around the country, guys would ask about different scenarios other than that, and there are a ton of them, especially when you're betting on apps. So if you were waiting and you wanted to wait, and you for somehow, some way, the favorite Baltimore got the ball earlier or got a stop early, that number almost always is going to go from whatever it was. What was it, 9.5 in that one, up to 13, 13.5, 14. So to get greedy, when you have the better team, especially with a good defense, there are a lot of options in game to wait and take advantage of that then. Because you could, in that game, it went almost immediately from 9.5 up to double digits for sure. And then you were buying a bigger gap in there. As you said, it didn't end up mattering either way. So let's just say, let's not pretend we didn't cash out. We didn't do anything. We just lost last week.
Yes.
So you have $100 in to win $1,800 on the Baltimore Ravens. A lot of guys have that or some scenario of that. So last week you lost $200. If you did what I suggested you do, not play the money line. So we're going to look worst case scenario. So you put $200 on Houston plus the point. So now you're down $200. You have a $100 ticket to win $1,800. So what do you do this week? All right, so you got to make back up your 200 plus your 100. So that's 300. So we're going to put $500 on Kansas City plus the 3.5. Does that make sense?
Yes.
$500, and if Kansas City wins straight up and you kill your $1,800 ticket, you're going to make $200 on your. So you're going to double your money. You bet 100, you're going to make 200 on your futures ticket. If Kansas City covers and doesn't win, then you go into the Super Bowl free rolling for a lot of money actually. And if Baltimore wins and covers, then you're down you're down $700, but you still have a $100 ticket available to make $1,800. So you're still free rolling for $1,100 with the opportunity to hedge back and get into profit either way. Again, all of these are calculated decisions based on the idea that you want to take the one good decision you made in August of betting Baltimore based on the information I gave out in August, betting on Baltimore at least 18-1 to win the Super Bowl. You want that money to do nothing more. The worst you're going to do is double your money for that one good decision. That's the scenarios we're laying out. If you want to gamble more, there are 1,000 ways to do it. Brandon talked about one. Play the money line. You're betting less, but you're probably going to lose that. If you do, then you're going to have more of a hedge opportunity when the Super Bowl gets here. And even better if you do what Brandon said, which was he cashed out. Now he hasn't given up that money, so he's still rolling with most of that 18-1 as we head into some more competitive games. So that's Baltimore in a nutshell. What happened last week with them? And more important, let's talk about Kansas City and Buffalo. What did you take away from that game? And is this Kansas City team a team that the light bulb went on? Are they getting better play, or are they just, what happened last week? What do you expect out of them this week?
Patrick Mahomes' brilliance. You look at that receiving core outside of Travis Kelce, not a lot of dudes who are going to be number one receivers on any other team. But he finds a way to make plays, make the guys around him better. And that offensive line's playing a heck of a lot better than they had throughout almost all of November, December, which is very surprising because Buffalo can get after you. That was my main takeaway from last week, is that Andy Reid is one of the top play callers in the league. Patrick Mahomes is an absolute magician. And it's hard yet again for the 6th year in a row to count them out of any game that they're in.
Yeah, what I got from it, I don't blame Buffalo at all. I didn't find myself blaming Buffalo for anything. What I saw was a team in Kansas City that was more seasoned, more prepared, more experienced, and ready for the moment, just a little bit more than what Buffalo was. You have two very good football teams. And as we talked about before, Buffalo was third to win the Super Bowl heading into Week 18. So they hadn't even made the playoffs yet. They were still third on the futures bets to win the Super Bowl behind both Baltimore and San Francisco. So Baltimore, I don't think, or Buffalo didn't do anything. I think did they make some plays that cost them the game? Absolutely.
Sure.
The field goal at the end, not good. All right, he misses it. Horrible situation, but that didn't cost him. Diggs misses a ball that goes right through his hands late. That gets him the ball around the 20. Now they got a lot more time. They've got Josh Allen's legs. They probably aren't kicking. They're probably asking Patrick Mahomes to come back and score a touchdown at the end of the game because they'd be down 4 at that point.
Yep.
But there were some plays, but there were also plays on Kansas City side. We talked about it. They had the fumble that could have been a scoop and score that the tight end made a great play to cover the ball up. They fumble going into the end zone. You're going to have, when you have two evenly matched games, you're always going to be able to look back and dissect what happened and say, well, they lost because of this. But what happened was those plays almost evened out. I saw a team, as you're alluding to, that was more ready for the moment. They did not make the key mistakes. For every drop Diggs had, not just Kelce, who, by the way, I'd probably put a body on Travis Kelce if I'm playing Kansas City.
I still don't understand how in 2024 that dude is still open all the time.
I'm amazed. It's CeeDee Lamb with Dallas is the same way.
Yep.
How are you not manning him and playing a cover shell over the top? I give up everything else, but I'm not going to let Travis Kelce and CeeDee Lamb beat me individually.
If Marquez Valdez-Scantling beats me, then so be it. I'm not letting the arguably second greatest tight end in the history of the game shred me. I mean, there's no other option.
He gets wide open. In zone, he gets wide open. In man, he gets wide open. He's wide. It's not even close. It's not guys falling down. He literally just outworks and runs better routes, and they don't and they lose him. And when you're playing a team that's similar to you in ability, that it just takes 2 or 3 of those, and now you're behind. So I don't get that. But Kansas City earned it, and it wasn't anything that Buffalo did. They played well. They both teams made some mistakes, but they deserve to be there. So now we turn to this Baltimore team, and I don't want people to think that just because I have this futures ticket on Baltimore, I'm sitting there saying I know they're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm not Vegas Dave or some idiot like that that's out in Mexico with his shirt off trying to tell everybody that he had a crystal ball back in August, and that still applies. Do I like Baltimore in this game? I mean, it's not going to surprise me if they win, and if they win, it's not going to surprise me if they beat what I think will probably be San Francisco in the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm not going to be surprised. No, I'm not. Am I going to hedge out for a lot more? Because no, I'm definitely not. But I'm not sitting here telling you that the information that I went off in August still applies here. This will be a very competitive, evenly matched game that will most likely, and people should definitely hear this, Brandon, most likely be decided by turnovers. We didn't talk about this a lot after last week's show, but when you go on the road as Dallas did. We did a little bit, actually, but as Dallas did, as all of the losers basically did, a wild card weekend. Go on the road, turn the ball over that result in points. You're going to lose this time of year. That will ultimately determine who wins, loses. Tampa Bay lost and didn't cover because they threw 2 interceptions and Detroit did not. They are evenly matched teams that at the very minimum, Detroit does not cover that number if Tampa Bay doesn't give them the ball extra times. That's the NFL. So that's why we don't go crazy this time of year, because the lines are going to be relatively tight, and we also understand that variance and luck things are going to have a lot to do with the outcomes of the game. Not everything, but a lot to do. That's why you go to FatJackSports.com, get signed up, is so you can get those plays that hopefully are not relying on that. But if these two teams show up and Kansas City, what do you think? What does this game look like?
I feel like this is a lower scoring game because the offenses are so dynamic and the play callers are so smart. They're understanding that the best defense is a good offense, or vice versa type deal, to where if you keep the ball out of Lamar Jackson's hands, you keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands, your chances of winning the game improve. So it would not shock me to see both these teams come out and at least be conscious of running the football, take the shots when they absolutely have to and need to. The return of Mark Andrews to the Ravens lineup, though, Jack, really kind of gives me a little bit of pause for concern for Chiefs fans, because as good as Kelsey is, Mark Andrews is a poor man's Kelsey, at least in terms of contract. But I feel like they're the same kind of player. Dude that's always open. Dude catches everything in his way and is the number one focal point of that offense. So that might be the difference between these two teams right now. But I expect a low scoring, first team to 20 wins type ball game.
Low scoring generally means underdog.
Mm-hmm.
You are getting the hook at this point, at least 3.5. And the other thing that Baltimore now 2-5 against the spread, their last 7 home playoff games. But a more important stat in that is that those games, generally speaking, go under. When Baltimore's a favorite, they are 22-9 and now 1, because I'm going to count last week as a push. But 22-9 and 1 to the under. Also, Harbaugh almost always wants to go under. He does not ever want to get in we need to throw it or we're going to try. He wants to, a lot like what Buffalo does. I mean, he wants to stay ahead of the chains, keep his quarterback out of spots, execute more times than you do, and play it a little closer to the vest. He comes from a coaching family. He coaches that way. Andy Reid has proven this year, especially with his lack of weapons, that that's who he is too. Now, Patrick Mahomes certainly opened it up more. We talked about this last year at this time. This was everything I was saying. When Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City plays good defenses, remember this from last year? When they play good defenses, they generally speaking go over. When they play bad defenses, they generally speaking go under. That has been the Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid angle for at least a year or so until this year. The reason it switched this year is because of their lack of weapons. But when you get in a playoff game on the road at Buffalo, you have got to take more chances, be less calculated, and throw the ball around a little bit more. I suspect it'll be the same thing here. Andy Reid understands he has to be a little bit more of a gambler to win a game like this, because he's playing a team that, at least in theory, is better than him, even though he probably has the best player on the field. No matter who's, MVP this year. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, best player on the field. So Mahomes now 9-1-1 against the spread. Their last 11 as an underdog.
I was just about to throw that stat at you. That is a stupid good stat.
And oh, by the way, 8-3 straight up as an underdog. And that's over his career. That's not playoffs. That's not a subset of anything. Since he's been in the league,
he's only been an underdog 11 times on the road.
11 times ever he's been an underdog, and he's won 8 of them. This dude doesn't just cover as a dog. He does not outperform the market. He wins as an underdog. Kansas City now 13-6 to the under this year. That's still number 1 in the league. So they're going under 2 out of every 3 games, and they went over last week. So to your point, I'd see a lot of reasons why this game's lower scoring. The problem with that is that you get one big play or one punt return. It ends up going over. So again, don't go crazy on any of these numbers, any of these things. These are 2 very good teams. Turnovers are going to decide the outcome of these games, and frankly, the Super Bowl as well. The minute I come on here and say I was totally wrong about that is the minute that I give you a team, they win the turnover battle by 2, and they still don't cover. But until then, that's why you don't go crazy this time of year in the National Football League, is because variance and luck has a lot to do with who ends up ultimately succeeding. If you
And
don't
that
have to
also,
worry about,
Jack, is why you follow the system. Like this game, you should be betting the same amount on this game and opinion and selection as you did in September. Yes, the games are more important for the teams on the field. To us, it's just another game.
you should be up so much money by now. You should not care whether you win or not. I did not shed one tear. I did not get upset at not one thing. I got mad when I had some drunk idiot
Didn't fire off an email.
texting me and emailing me stupid things, showing me your intelligence level. That, yeah, I get mad about that. But as far as what happens in the game, it's a shoulder shrug in January. If you're not shrugging your shoulders in January, you have not been doing the right thing in September, October, November, December. That's the hard, cold reality of sports gambling. Look yourself in the mirror if you are D. Ballard and you've decided that you've learned everything you need to know about anything over one weekend of football, when luck variance had a lot to do with wins and losses, because you created your own issues early in the year. And I know you weren't a client of mine. I haven't even looked, but I know you weren't a client of mine, because if you were, you'd be shrugging your shoulders with the rest of us. You'd be saying, it's one day. It's one weekend. Who cares? I could lose. Here's the reality, Brandon. I could lose every basketball game and every football game between now and the Super Bowl, and we would still be killing this year.
Still be up on the year. Absolutely.
Nobody's losing money with the Fat Jack Sports Service who signed up and went through the year. Nobody. So if you want to be that guy, that's the lesson you take away. Go to FatJackSports.com. Get the package through next year's Super Bowl. Quit being D. Ballard. Quit being an idiot that is worried about one day or one weekend, and start treating this more like a business. Treat this more like something that you actually want to make money, instead of acting like a child and I didn't win and they didn't do this and that 2-point convert. Shut up. You're not a child. Start acting like an adult. Put your big girl panties on, sign up long-term, pay out the service fee, pay the least amount you're going to pay all year, get baseball season for free, and start beating the sports books instead of telling me how sad you are because you didn't win. It's ridiculous. Go to FatJackSports.com, sign up today and win. How are we doing on time?
We need to get in a break. By the way, the idea of you owning big girl panties.
I hadn't worn panties or underwear in decades.
We learned something today on the Fat Jack Sports Hour.
You will not see panty lines or underwear lines on any of my clothes. I own a pair of underwear since, I don't even know, since 2 of me would fit in it. I don't even know. High school, maybe?
Wow.
Long time. Yeah, it's been a long time. If you gave me $1 million for every pair of men's underwear that were in my house, I would still be zero. I would not get one. Your money would be safe. There's not one pair of men's underwear in my house, unless Karen is cheating on me and they might have left something.
Accidentally left something. Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to be looking for. When you ask for the underwear and you say, where are they? I'm going to look at her drawers first, because I know I don't have any. So I'm going to hope that she's thrown some on the top shelf of the closet or something for her boyfriend that might have been over here, or the mailman or whoever, because I don't have it.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to FatJackSports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. FatJackSports.com.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and for the final time this week, a man who, like me, is happy we avoided the nightmare scenario. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you, Brandon, so much. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 3. I mean, what's funny, Brandon, is we've been doing this show long enough that even though you didn't say what the nightmare scenario is, I know what the nightmare scenario is, but I'm going to throw it back to you so that you can tell people what at least one of the nightmare scenarios that was going to hit us right in the face here in a couple of weekends from now, how we avoided that. What is the nightmare scenario?
Super Bowl weekend, if you've never been to Vegas, is an absolute circus. It's one of the busiest, if not the busiest weekend of the year, and it always is infiltrated by NFL fans and fans of the teams playing in the Super Bowl. With the Super Bowl being in Vegas this year, it would have been amped up even more. And I am now eternally grateful to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid for beating the Buffalo Bills, because I would not have been happy, Jack, to have traveled halfway across the country only to be surrounded by Buffalo Bills fans.
It's just, the stakes are so high this year.
Oh,
because the game's in Las Vegas. You always get that element anyway. Philadelphia Eagles fans, Buffalo fans, there's about 3 or
Patriots.
4. Patriots are bad, but boy, I don't know, man. I definitely Buffalo and Philly, both those fan bases are next level. I don't want to call them,
Toxic.
man. I don't need emails, but gosh, but
Toxic.
yeah,
That is a safe word to use.
exactly. You better like their team. I'll tell you that. I mean, Buffalo, all you do is go online. I mean, they're setting themselves on fire,
Right.
jumping through tables. I mean, these people are idiots. I mean, they are the dumbest of the dumb. But I will tell you that the stakes are even higher this year because you're getting, the game's in Vegas. So it's not just you get the overflow fans that want to go drink it up during the big game. You get, the actual game is there. So yeah, we avoided it. We dodged a bullet there because honestly, the fan bases that are left, I'm excited about all of them.
I'm perfectly fine. I'm perfectly happy for any team that wins the Super Bowl out of the Final Four. Any team wins it. Hey, I'm glad for you. If you're a fan of that team, I'm glad for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Detroit, we don't know exactly what they haven't been good in forever.
Sure.
And Detroit has a chance to be like Cleveland, which I don't love Cleveland people, Cleveland fans. They're grumpy about everything.
They're a special breed.
Detroit has a possibility of being that, but I don't want to throw that. I don't want to be, racist.
They don't have the stench of Ohio on them.
Yeah, exactly. So although, Michigan's not, I mean, that's part of
far.
Michigan,
Yeah.
not far. You get the same. Anyway, we don't know exactly what they are, but we kind of know what the rest are. Kansas City, everybody's gotten used to them.
Yep.
And you get that Midwestern. Most of them are pretty polite. You're going to get the morons that are going crazy, but whatever. It's Super Bowl. Baltimore, you actually get a really nice blend of that. You've got the, can you say ghetto anymore? Is that not a thing? I mean, you get the down and down, dirty, gritty people.
Gritty.
Yes. Gritty, salt of the earth people. I like to say called ghetto, but it's basically just gritty people they're going to dance it up. They're going to enjoy the moment. They're passionate about their team. They get after it. And Baltimore has another whole different group that is that normal. I would compare them to maybe a Houston fan or an Atlanta fan, just a salt of the earth, fired about the world. So I'm excited about that if they get there, not to mention we have this big futures ticket. Mm-hmm. And then you get the other side, San Francisco, they're harmless. Everybody there's drinking champagne. It's like going to a TCU game. San Francisco is very similar. You'll have that's the part of the country where people literally kill people. If you're,
if you've ever seen a Raiders 49ers sideline, skirmish, yeah, you kind of know. But yeah, it's a wider range. But yeah, we definitely dodged a bullet with Bills and Pans not being there.
Yeah, I'm okay with anybody that gets there. I'm excited about that. I may have to work a little more. I'm going to have to go to Radio Row and stuff. So we'll see if that happens. But be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter as well, because there will be a lot of stuff coming up from the game, especially with it being there. I'll be on in all the stations, just about all the stations that I've gone on all year long, talking from the game side, from the Allegiant Stadium and from Las Vegas and kind of the vibe. By the way, Brandon, little known fact, this weekend, the most expensive hotel rooms are this weekend that I've encountered all year long. This weekend.
In Vegas.
Not the rodeo, not F1, not or whatever the computer thing is. This weekend.
Consumer Electronics Show, CES, yeah.
CES, not CES, none of that. This weekend, the most expensive. Do you know what's going on this weekend?
I think I do. Is it the Porn Awards?
No, God, I wish. That would be awesome. Okay. I would take a field trip. No, and that's not going to fill the whole town up. That's just going to really make the Flamingo a blue light special. Okay, yeah. I mean you're not want to stay after those people at some of the rooms. That's not going to hit the whole town. It is the Concrete Convention of America.
Oh yes. And
apparently that is where it is at. Caesars $1,800 a night.
Gee, many Christmas.
The Treasure Island $960 a night. I mean, just stupid rates. I am staying out. I complained, and actually Teddy covers, the guy that's on the show with me, said I could stay at his house. Dave Hall did not offer that up. I might have stayed at his house. Anyway, I'd already booked a room by the time I started complaining about it. But I'm staying out of the Green Valley Ranch. I bring back some memories for you.
Oh man, that's early. I think that's my first. Yeah, that was my first Super Bowl with Fat Jack in Vegas. It was Patriots Eagles. The first one when T.O. played with a broken leg, we were out at Green Valley Ranch. That was right after your TV show, your appearance on the TV show
on American Casino.
Yeah.
where I beat them out of about $20,000 in blackjack. Yeah,
Fully loaded Toyota Camry. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can watch that on the website. See what a
Yeah,
young
it is
fat
still
cat
up on
looks
YouTube right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
At FatJackSports on YouTube.
Yeah, at FatJackSports on YouTube, you can go watch me on American Casino beat them out of 20K in blackjack, and see what I looked like 20 years ago. Much sexier human being. The second one there was the one where Pittsburgh played, and Traber was cheering for the Steelers, even though we had the other side.
Yep.
And he won a bunch of money playing craps while I was up in the room breaking my computer at the time. So,
and that was the year we almost got into a brawl because we were out at Red Rock, and the meth head Cardinals fans next to us were not too happy with Jim celebrating the Steelers.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That was almost the meth head free for all with big fight with our group in there. So yeah, so a lot of memories off the Strip. But I'm going to go back there for one night this week. I'm staying there Wednesday night. But I thought it was interesting that that's the most expensive ticket in town is this concrete convention. How are we doing on time?
Not too much time left here. By the way, the Super Bowl hypotheticals, Jack. The Ravens 3.5-point favorites over the Lions is the largest spread of the 4 remaining games.
Yeah, you're going to have to. Long and the short of it is that decision you made in August with getting Baltimore, and I'm talking to people around the country who have that. You're going to have to earn it if you get there.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm hedging. Now I have multiple $500 tickets that range from anywhere from 18 to 1 to 30 to 1. So my numbers are still going to be really, really nice once I get there. But I have had to dig deeper in my pockets because none of it is for sure. In hindsight, yeah, I should have rolled last week. That was an easy one. But none of these, even if Baltimore wins by 21, they could win this game as well. And then the Super Bowl is not going to be any piece of cake if you're trying to make that money. So make decisions that guarantee money. That's my advice to guys out there. So bigger advice, go to FatJackSports.com, get the season package through next year's Super Bowl. That way you don't have to care about one weekend. If you're not a client right now, get on at least for the weekend, start building profit, start seeing what consistent winning selections will do, and stop writing stupid emails or guessing about who's going to win these games and relying on luck variance, because you can make money betting on sports. You just need to treat it more like a business. Brandon, final thoughts?
Play the basketball. It's hot this time of year.
It really is. It's a good add-on and a lot of money coming your way. Until next week, gamble responsibly. Don't drink and drive. Have a great weekend, a great championship weekend. Until next week when we have our Super Bowl matchup, we have Pro Bowl coming up, and much, much more as we're wrapping up the football season. You've been listening to the Fat Jack Sports Hour.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to FatJackSports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. FatJackSports.com.